All right. This is the epilogue. We got cut off in the last one. Uh, Look, I was saying something about Gnosticism. Maybe God didn't want me to complete the thought. It's just aroused my curiosity in it to go deeper. Now, I may ultimately end up completely repudiating and deeming anything that comes close to Gnosticism as some sort of heresy. I'm not just my intention is not just to read, the Book of Job and Young and the Nag Hammadi scriptures, and you know, at Jane, if Jane has challenged me again, and this is going to take up some time as well. Jane said, Luke, if you're drifting this way, you got to look at the other perspective. And so I do have a copy of Irenaeus's Against Heresies, and he was a heresologist and really took on Gnosticism. So it's kind of just pushed me in that direction. I mean, there's so much more that I could say about the Book of Job. I mean, it had a profound impact on me in terms of there were some real passages of beauty that hadn't jumped out at me before in my previous readings of it. I think I noted them along the way. And just the difficulty, the profound difficulty of getting through it. Like, I didn't realize, I thought I had a good grasp on how Old English worked, and really I needed a lot of help to kind of translate it into the modern parlance. There were so many other things. What about you? I mean, you were a spectator and a participant. What I don't, I was doing it so much because I had to get it off my plate so I could do other things. Just kind of ended up taking up more time than I expected. What about for you going through the Book of Job like this?
You were kind of my, and I may have said this to you before, kind of like my iron sharpening iron. I don't know if I would have delved as deeply into the Book of Job as I did if it weren't for you doing the study the way you were doing it. And I won't lie, I hadn't expected that, any comments that I had made early on, maybe 3 months ago, would have produced this. But
I think you
I'm
know me
kind of
well
glad.
enough now. If there's anything you ever want to accomplish, just challenge my intellectual ego.
I'll know, I'll file that away for future reference.
Yeah.
But I will say it was very it was a challenge for me as well, because there are so many aspects of the book that I hadn't really considered deeply. I hadn't considered God's interaction with Job, or Job's interaction with God, and I hadn't considered. I had only read parts of it in sections, not necessarily the whole book as an entirety from start to finish, and sort of look at it from that perspective and see it as that story of redemption. And for me, it really did strengthen my understanding of the gospel, my understanding of Christ and his sacrifice, and just our need for that mediator, and that need to have that deep abiding relationship with God. I've been challenged through it, and it's something that I'm going to continue to be challenged with. But
Yeah,
I
let
do
me
feel
let,
like
let me just add something to that very quickly. I too, I too, in my exploration of Gnosticism and the Book of Job, it makes me realize it dramatizes and makes the need for Christ even that much more. But um, so I would say the same thing. I would say the same thing.
well,
I,
that was the only one question I had. So
Now, it caught me off guard.
I did. I put you on the spot. You met the challenge. Good job.
Yeah, I should have. I feel like that's an essay question. Do you still, early on, I think I expressed how I thought it should be made into a movie or, a Shakespearean play or something like that. There is even a line. I don't know if you caught this, but there was a line in one of the recent chapters where it talks about the shaking of the spear. And I was like Shakespeare? Like, this gets into the whole Francis Bacon.
I know I hadn't caught that or made that connection. That is fascinating. It would be an interesting film or series.
Yeah, I wonder how you would provide enough action with it, you know. Maybe it could be a short. It doesn't necessarily have to be like 3 hours long. Like, oh, Job's in agony again. So because it's primarily going on. It's very, it's very dialectical, right? It's very argumentative. So it's not, there's not like there's all these different things that happen.
It would have to be a character driven sort of
Yes.
film. Not there's no major
Would you
action.
cast as Job?
Speaking of being caught off guard, that one definitely catches me off guard. I don't know. I'm not super up on actors and such. I wouldn't even know. Honestly, I would say anybody who really would spend the time prior to playing Job, reading it and understanding it, because you really have to get into um, his his mindset and who he is both prior to the suffering and also during it and then after. So anyone who's willing to kind of spend the time could probably do it, but I think it would take a lot and a lot of prayer to kind of be able to do that effectively.
Maybe like 90s Mel Gibson or Kenneth Branagh, or who's the guy, who's the actor we saw in The Promised Land? Who is that? Maybe,
Mads Mikkelsen.
yeah, maybe
How
him.
do I know this?
I could see that.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It could be in Danish. So
Yeah, yeah. So
we really digressed.
did we cover everything you wanted to talk about?
I think we have, because I think we talked about the daughters and the inheritance and the blessing. Did you find that at the end you were satisfied with the ending? Was there closure?
No. But I never feel that way about the Bible. I don't, the Bible's never okay, I understand that now. I had a lot of I had a lot of the questions that I went into it answered, but then I now I have different ones. So,
Hmm,
I mean, am I I don't think the Bible's necessarily something that you can, it's like, okay, I'm done with this now. Like I could clearly, going through all 42 chapters, there were probably like 10 major subjects that I could then zoom in on that and do another series being like, okay, here were the 10 major things that I had problems with in the book of Job. Now let me spend the next 10 years figuring that out. Like,
right. And I think we read things differently. I mean, throughout the Bible, when you read it, you're still sort of reading it through the lens of your current experience. And
right.
God always speaks in a different way. So you can read the same verse or the same chapter or the same book, multiple times and still get something new because it is this living thing, right? God does breathe through it into us in some ways, I believe.
By me saying that I wasn't satisfied doesn't mean that I'm dissatisfied with the experience of reading the book of Job. I would also be dissatisfied with any other book that I read. No book like but I don't mean to marginalize the Bible in that way. I've always got further investigations that I want to do. That's all I'm saying. Like the riddle of existence has not been fully explained to me. Makes me want to go deeper.
Yeah, I think that's always the case. But at some point, you just accept it like a gift.
Uh,
I know it's not the
ah,
answer you want. I know,
well,
I know.
this is how we're different. And why you're better than me.
No, 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 let's not go down that road. Um, so
All right. Well, I think that brings us to a close. I appreciate you inspiring this whole thing. Okay. And I appreciate you coming on for the very last one of it. I said that I like a challenge. I'm going to need a little break from Bible study of this intensity for a little. I'm not giving up on studying the Bible, but I challenge me in some other way for a little bit. I got to take care of some things.
fair point.
If I were to come back to it, I will say this: probably would want to do something in the New Testament. If I did this again, I'd probably want to come back to the New Testament. I might even want to do the Book of Luke or the Gospel of Luke. Um,
Ooh,
so do something from the Old Testament, do something from the New Testament. But
Great.
knowing what I know now and how intensive it is, I gotta clear out some time so I can do it right.
Well, I think it's amazing that you did it. So it's more than I could have taken on, and so I'm definitely challenged by it, and I
If you
appreciate
did it, if you did it, it'd be better. I know if you did it, you would have done a better job. I know you would have.
it. No, but the point is, I didn't do it. You did. So,
I I'm an inferior man, but I stick to my commitments.
well, I appreciate it, and so do many of your audience members, I'm sure.
We'll
So,
see. We'll see. It's out there for all time now. So people, I don't know how many people have listened to it in real time, but I expect I'll check back on it 10 years from now and people are like, thanks for doing that. I'm like, oh yeah, complete. It's interesting. I've been on YouTube for a while and every once in a while somebody will comment on a video from like 2015 and they'll be like, can you explain what you said in this thing? No, I can't. Not because I want to be a jerk, but I seriously can't remember because that was part of the reason why I started making YouTube videos is that my mind couldn't hold everything. I think my mind is like a tool. It's like effective at like going through a thing, but like 6 months from now, I'll have to go back and watch my own videos to even know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like offloading for me. Not you. Sure, that wouldn't be you, but for me, my memory just can't hold it all.
well, we're all human. I've got my own weaknesses, but this has been edifying, and I, for one, am very grateful. And I know that God is going to use this in your life, and He's using you, and He's working through you as well and in you. So just like He is in all of us. So in some ways, just really grateful.
No. You're welcome. Everybody is welcome. I mean, I feel like I was given certain gifts, so I don't want to say I feel obligated, but I feel like if I didn't do things like this, I wouldn't be living up to what was bestowed on me, you know? It's like, what am I gonna do? Just like keep it to myself all the time. Maybe I should. People be like, you should have. All right, I'm gonna bring this to a close and I'm gonna upload it as soon as possible, okay? All right, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.